Hello, welcome back to Blender Station Live Noding. In this episode, I want to share with you the breakdown of this node tree. So it's basically inspired by a scene in the movie. So it's basically just like a rotating cylinder or like a can. And the can is actually get all these holes. And inside the cans, I put a lot of light and simply render it out. So that's the idea. I also have like some kind of fog volumetrics going on. So the setup is really simple. You might already know how to do this, but I'm just gonna show it to you anyway. So I have a bunch of point light in 3 different color, and I just put it inside the collections, and I just hide it. And then I have this cube, or like a simple default cube, and then I simply scatter the light. I'm using mesh line that's being disturbed by noise. So noise texture is contributing to the positioning of the light. If I didn't use the light, if I just use like an icosphere, you will see, hopefully, okay, cannot see anything. Okay, there you go. So this is what the light is actually doing. So I can specify, we can have 5 light that's kind of scattering. It's kind of like a little bit like fireflies inside the can. So it's creating this effect. If I replace this with the light and turn on peak instance, we have all this point light. We can generate this kind of cool effects. Okay, so yeah, this mesh line, whatever, is just to generate like bunch of points that we can reposition using the noise. So all this random value, and it's also being animated by time that's offsetting the vector or something like that, basically. So the rest of them, okay, the rotating cans is simple enough. It's geometry nodes. It's being rotated as a collection, as an instance. You might create something like this simply by using Boolean, but I'll show it to you a quick way. So you start with the default cube like this. Let's save this. So this is a can with holes. We want to create like a can shape for our fireflies. So by default, it's of course just the default cube. We can delete it, replace it with a cylinder, turn off the top and the bottom. We can actually delete we can delete just the top using delete geometry. Anyhow, we can use delete geometry and set it to face. The fastest way to make holes like that is actually to use Voronoi, as we learned yesterday. So using the distance and comparison. So we're gonna have this value, right? We're gonna compare it with a value, and then the output is gonna be selection Boolean. And our geometry is this guy. And we're gonna subdivide. So this is the idea. We need to increase the mesh. Be careful with subdivision mesh. You might get a resolution that's too high. But other than that, it's pretty much, this is the idea. Okay, you see here some kind of holes being generated using Voronoi texture. We can animate it to give variations. Turn on randomize, increase it to maximum if you want. So you have like a kind of like a cheese cut, and you can use solidify to have solidify result. So you already know about this. You can continue increasing the subdivisions. This is gonna be like super dense mesh, right? For now, let's just reduce it to 5. You can play around with this shape actually. Manhattan. Oh, look at this shape. Actually, this kind of nice also. Some of them will create like a star shapes. You can try. Let's use something like this. Let's use the square. So quite interesting. Okay, yeah, we can use this. So we just wanna rotate it. If you try to animate this guy and rotating, it might actually slowing down a lot. So a better way is to put this inside a collection, like new collections, like let's call it cylinder, and then we just Shift A and then use the collection instance and then animate this guy instead. So we can hide the original. Now we have the instance that we can rotate, transform, and scale as we need. Just put a frame, multiply by a number to control the speed. Now all we need to do is to put our light and volume. Let's quickly create a simple light, point light. Create a plane. Okay, so this is kind of effect that I want to create actually. And while it's animating like that, you can move around this point like a firefly. And for the full effects, if we go to shader under the world, you want to use a principal volume. Just plug this into the volume, and it's gonna contribute into our cycles. For example, I think reduce the density, and you can see the volume will affect our look. Maybe we will need to have more light. So the volumetric effects will have some effects around the holes. I think it's kind of neat. So let's bring in our fireflies. This I will share this object like cube. So we have you can see all these fireflies moving around. Now the volume is affecting it. Select our light cube, which is generated using geometry nodes. This is actually an instance light. You can have 1000 light or 10,000. Just a couple of light. However, it's should be okay. See the color affecting this. It's kind of neat. So anytime you can come back to your cylinder, you can replace this with anything, maybe like a simple cube. You can have the default cube that's rotating. What I want to show you is really just the fact that in order to animate the instance, it's a lot faster than actually animating the original that's being generated using geometry nodes. Now we have rotating default cube with this kind of effects. Pretty simple effects, but it's quite effective. Okay, this is the volumetric, but using Eevee. Not as good, but still pretty interesting. You can see it's fast. You can play around with the shaders to get better result. Okay, our light cube might be, we need to put it inside. This is the light cube. You can see the light is moving around. Yeah, separate children, reset children, that's important. Big instance. Let's have like 20 light. So we have 20 fireflies inside this box. I use different shape. You might be able to use this to create like a building design. Be careful with subdivision mesh. It's gonna subdivide it a lot. Your computer or Blender might crash. Anyway, still pretty fast. There you go, that's the final effects. So kind of like a light inside of cheese. Try render this out while it's animating. I think the result is gonna be pretty nice. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully you find this interesting and useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.